Hey guys, we're doing 6.6, example 6. So the first thing we need, we're raising this to the 8th power, so we're going to need that modulus, or the hypotenuse, or the radius, and we are going to need the angle. Now, let's do a quick sketch. I go root 2 over 2 to the left and root 2 over 2 up, and you're going to end up right over here. Now, just doing that as a point of reference, but if you have root 2 over 2 and root 2 over 2 left and right, you pretty much know that you're going to have a 45-degree reference angle or a pi over 4 reference angle. In quadrant 2, that angle is going to be translating to pi over 4 in quadrant 2. The equivalent of that would be 1 less than the denominator, so it's 3 pi over 4. If you want to think about it as a 45-degree angle, well, then that'd be 180 minus 45, so that'd be 135 degrees. You can work with angles or radians. You'll see that in the later sections with 7 and 8 with the roots of unity and the roots. Sometimes working with degrees is actually easier, but I'll show you that in a moment. We also need to know the radius. So this is a special right triangle, but also if you just want to do Pythagorean theorem, you could. So the modulus would be square root of root 2 over 2 squared plus root 2 over 2 squared. One of them is negative, but not a big deal. But you end up with 1. So at the end of the day, that means that if I were to say this is z, then this would be z has a radius of 1, and it'd be cosine of 3 pi over 4 plus I sine pi over 4. Oh, sorry, 3 pi over 4. And if I wanted to make this raised to the 8th, then z to the 8th would be 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 and so forth. But I'll write 1 to the 8th, which is 1. And cosine of, well, 3 pi over 4 plus 3 pi over 4 8 times would be 8 times 3 pi over 4 plus I sine 8 times 3 pi over 4. And at the end of the day, we will get cosine. That would be 6 pi plus I sine 6 pi. Well, what is 6 pi? 6 pi is the same thing as 0, because 2 pi is 360. So this is just 2 pi 3 times, which is back to 0. So this is the same thing as 0 plus I sine of 0. Oops, just 0. And cosine of 0 is 1, and I sine of 0 is 0. So z to the 8th is just 1. So if I take this and raise it to the 8th power, it would just be equal to 1. And actually, let's make that look a little nicer. A little bit better.